gonna backtrack. And you should have kept my name out your mouth. That's how it all turned out. When you try to use my name for clout, keep on going, give you something you could talk about. Hello everybody, how are you doing this fine Thursday, August 28th? It is 1:45 p.m. I'm on time today. That's new. I was trying to, be more on time and stuff, so that worked out today. Almost, kind of. Shout out to the Maryland cousins in the chat. I love Maryland. I was there, I think, last weekend, actually. And shout out to the cousins in the chat. Hello, John. Hello, Tony. Hello, Shelly. Shout out to the mods in the chat. Monica. Hello, Monique. Yes, you have caught a live. Thank you, Nikki Nightlight. Your hair looks fantastic. I've been using my sponge rollers, girl. I had the dippity do last night. Actually, it was this morning. Last night I just had scrunchy. Hello, shout out to my mom in the chat. Hello, Pauline. So, hello, Detroit 313 Kathleen. Hello, Ashley. Hello, Florida. Christy, Waffles. You, Angel Gordon. Hello, hello, hello. Amy, hello, hello. Real Eyes, recognize real lies. Shout out to you. Shout out to the London cousins in the chat. Shout out to the UK cousins, y'all. They are over there fighting for their lives. There's some of the cousins got left behind, y'all. Some of the cousins got left behind, and they're suffering over there. But shout out to the UK cousins. That we are all cousins, of course. We all cousins. Okay, so calamity has ensued. Okay, I was all up in arms yesterday. I was mad. Not really, but kind of annoyed, I would say. Yesterday, hello, Ashley. Hello, Heaven. Hello, I Gotta Know. Hello, Archer. Hello, Podcast Queen. Cherish Your Sparkle. We did talk about it yesterday on the live stream, or I talked about it. I ranted a little bit about it. Something very annoying was afoot. Something annoying was happening. And basically, it was this news conference on this missing baby, Emmanuel Haro. He has his remains. His remains have not been still found. So he's missing, I guess. But the I guess missing, and it's important we clarify on these terms of art, because I think missing is a specific legal term. He is missing, right? Because his remains are missing. However, I was about to get into a whole entire, let me just stop. Some could say he's missing under the colloquial use of the word missing. Yes. However, the cops have said he is, even though he was reported missing and they called and reported a kidnapping or whatever, he's not actually missing, because they like to, they use very specific words. And so instead what it is he's presumed, no longer to be living. Presumed unalive, we'll say, for the purposes of keeping it clean over here. And so he's not missing. He's presumed unalive. Okay, fine. But his remains are missing, according to the media. Lacey, I know sometimes we're all getting the same download from the mothership at the same time. Lacey said, girl, we're here for the rants. You're just saying what we're all thinking. Sometimes, yeah, missing but presumed. Yeah, sure. Yes, exactly. Missing as in recovery, not as in rescue. See all these different, I want y'all to pay attention, take a note, take a pen, put it in the bulletin board, put a pin in this one right here, click, there it is, because we're going to come back to what is the meaning of a word, and when you have to use a specific magical word in a legal context for something to be technically still true. They love to play that game, not only the mainstream media. I got some new little baby hairs growing, because I've been, taking care of my hairline, but it's my makeup is getting stuck in it and it's aggravating and distracting. Sorry. Anyway, what am I thinking? Okay. So, all right. So the baby is, presumed no longer among the living, and there's only two suspects. At the time of the recording of this, at the time of this live, it's not recording, at the time of this live stream, Thursday, August 8th, 8, August, blah, 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 getting ahead of myself. Thursday, August 28th, 2025 at 1:50 p.m. Eastern Time. As far as the public is aware, this baby is still missing. However, there have been several false alarms, we'll say, where there apparently are, leads. There's like, he's not missing. They found the body. They're out there looking for it right now. This happened, perhaps most markedly on Sunday. Today's Thursday. So on Sunday, they were out there in the Badlands. It just sounds scary. It sounds like, did they say that in The Lion King? Or I'm just imagining that the place where Mufasa got stampeded was called the Badlands. Now, I'm not talking about the elephant graveyard. That's different. Anyway, so there's been a couple false flags, maybe it's on purpose false, maybe it's lies, maybe it's not on purpose. Right. Yes. Florida. maybe it's just accidental. People just trying to be the first one to come out with the story. Now, I'm kind of like new to the like true crime community. I have been aware that the true crime community exists for quite a while, but I really am normally following cases of, just so happens that normally I'm following like a case like not a lot of people are following. Maybe there's like I dip my foot in, I dip my toe in the waters, I leave. But like follow a case from kind of the beginning investigation stages and then through a trial. I really have only done that, or through court hearings or whatever. I've only done that with kind of like high profile celebrity cases or like YouTubers. So I'm kind of new to this whole like true crime community. And like every time I'm like dipping into new communities or whatever, I feel like there's a certain vibe to it. First was Free Britney. There's stands. I started learning about the stan community. Shout out to the hashtag Free Britney in the chat. That was my first kind of entry point, right? And it's like I wasn't really like in the Britney Spears fan community beforehand. And then so I get in there, there's a certain vibe. Most recently, the Tory Lanez case, the Milagro-grams, the Megan P, it's kind of, I was already in the webbing, but like this is a different section, different sort of, I mean, maybe lack of a better word, niche. Like there's just like community. I would say community is like a word that's being used right now. So the true crime community, when you're getting into cases like this, I'm just realizing like there's a vibe. There's a certain like pre-existing history among true crime community people. And so I'm kind of like dodging, the landmine, trying to be like, oh, this person, and then this person got beef with that person, and this person thinks that person's a plant. So generally, as y'all know, I do tend to just try my very hardest to stay out of like interpersonal stuff. I'm no longer in any group chats. I gave that up for Lent 6 years ago or something. Not that long ago, being hyperbolic, but I don't even like to be in a group chat because I have found that even where, the person might not be a plant, they might not be trying to influence your opinion at all. But if maybe sometimes like somebody on one of your friends or something, they'll have like a strong opinion on something, or they'll have a personal interest in it, they have a personal relationship with somebody and it's negative. And so it'll kind of make me feel like I can't talk about that, or I got to talk about it in a certain way because I do feel like, I have a certain job to do with covering my, my opinion and my, these stories and giving my opinion on the stories. But I also like do come across acquaintances. I would say like these are like professional colleagues, especially like where I like the person and the content and we're covering the same stuff. So I would consider these people then at some points to start to become like my friends. Like, even if we don't talk on the phone and stuff, I personally have like a different way that I treat a story if I know somebody in it. And I'm telling y'all this too, to just let you know, like, this ain't the New York Times. I'm not going to be over here. Like, this is not biased. Like, if I'm biased, I'm going to tell you I'm biased to the best of my ability. We're all biased to some extent, but yes, hashtag Free Britney, hashtag Free Britney. I don't have a Discord. I don't have a community. I mean, in this sense of this big C community, the community, no. Like, my community is people that's, watching these videos or whatever, the end. I'm not trying to have like all this different, like, I don't want y'all, I always say it, don't go and contact anybody. Don't go contact anybody that I mentioned. And I don't even anymore, if you notice, like I know I do see a lot of Free Britneys in the chat, but if you notice, I don't even tell people anymore. And this is bad. This is something I feel like is a bad thing. I don't even tell people anymore, like, call and report this to a hotline. I mean, if it's in an article we're reading or something like that, I will say, I'll read it. But I have been so traumatized and abused, harassed, and, they're attempting now, obviously, for the past 3 years to literally bankrupt me. So I just feel like I have to just protect myself to the extent that, like, my speech has been successfully chilled. They've chilled my freaking speech, okay? But but that is to say, when I say do not contact anybody mentioned in these videos, not even to leave a nice message, that is truly to protect myself. That is why. Now, do not contact anybody to leave a mean message. That is not to protect myself. That's just because that's obviously common sense and the right thing to do. And I don't want it to get misconstrued. I want to say loudly and very clearly, I do not condone any type of negative, directing any negative, anything, energy, even thoughts, okay, over there to these people. All right. Nobody I mention in my videos, no matter what the topic, no matter what the vibe. I am aware that I do perhaps have a few new people popping in because of this Emmanuel Haro case, also the Tory Lanez, the Milagro Cooper case. So I just want to just remind everybody, like, that's what I'm doing over here. I am not considering myself to be in this great, like, pool of YouTubers. I'm not considering myself to be in a pool of independent media. I'm not considering myself to be any new media. I mean, actually, that's not true. Let me redact that. I am new media. I am new media. But I wouldn't say that I would consider myself to be like, definitely do not compare me to the New York Times. What you're getting over is my opinions, my thoughts. Yes, I have gone to law school. I graduated. I passed the bar exam on the first try. Yes, I did practice law, but I do not practice law anymore. The reason I don't, in large part, is so I can talk my opinions on my channel without anybody being able to say, I'm going to go report you because you said me about Emmanuel Haro. Shut up. No, I don't want to be in their dumb, stupid club. I proved I could do it. Goodbye. Y'all put in the comments all the time, you can't wait till I go back to being a practicing attorney. Girl, don't hold your breath, because you might not be amongst the land of the living, because I am not going back. Never say never. I always reserve the right to change my mind. I don't want to be a lawyer. I am a lawyer. I don't want to be an attorney, a practicing attorney. I am a lawyer. Can't take that degree away from me. Can't take what I earned away. That being said, there's a lot of coverage going on of this case, and it's going on. It's a very popular case, this Emmanuel Haro case. I consider myself to be an edutainer, educating on some things that I do know about, not as an expert, in an entertaining way, and encouraging you. What I really want to encourage, and I really want people to do, is to just don't have your mind made up so fast about everything. Be willing to change your mind. Be willing to change your opinion. When you see all this stuff out here, like, oh, that's not what he was saying 5 years ago. Sometimes there's a place to criticize someone changing their opinion in certain ways. Absolutely. But in and of itself, changing your opinion about something is a good thing. It actually demonstrates you got some neuroplasticity. It's good. It's good, especially if you base it on something like logic or whatever, using your brain. So you could change your mind. You can change your opinion. I plan to do so as I get more information. But my main goal over here is just to, like, put some, like, encouragement out there to y'all, that, like, you can ask questions. And just because somebody that's got some letters behind their name, or somebody that's on, fill in the 3-letter news station said something, don't mean it's necessarily true. Use those skills that, you went to school and earned, and even as early as middle school. Circumstantial evidence and inductive, conductive, deductive reasoning. Just because things are the way they are right now don't mean that's how they always have to be. Just because tyrants aren't following the Constitution doesn't mean we shouldn't hold them to that standard. And how are you going to hold them to a standard if you don't even know what the standard is? It's not like they're just putting stuff out here. I had to go to law school and learn this stuff, just basic stuff they should teach at first grade public school. What are your rights? What are you allowed to say? What are you allowed to do when you're interacting with a cop? This stuff. So I do find myself oftentimes on the side of the defendants in these cases, because I kind of am, like, rooting for defendants and freedoms against, like, tyranny. But there's been a lot of coverage on this Emmanuel Haro case. Okay. And thank you. Shout out to Rabbit for sending me this one. The title is an exclusive jailhouse interview. Father of baby Emmanuel says he would tell his missing son, "I love you, buddy." Okay. So I wanted to show y'all that's one of the things we're going to be reading. But we need to rewind to yesterday first. We need to rewind to yesterday. Also, nothing I say on this channel is legal advice. If you find yourself in need of legal advice, please do go consult an attorney that's licensed to practice law in your jurisdiction, which is not me. We have not had any engagement agreements, and I do not practice law, so I'm not your lawyer. This is not legal advice. Thank you. Yesterday there was a press conference, and it was, I've had a chance now. If Rabbit's in the chat, I don't know if she is or isn't, but shout out to her if she's in the chat. Had a chance to look at a few other people's commentary on this press conference. And y'all know I was fit to be tied yesterday. I was mad. I was mad yesterday because several grown men who, thank you for their service. I'm sure they've done something right in their life at some time. So thank you for doing that whenever that happened. But what I saw yesterday, it didn't appear to be men who were fulfilling their duty to protect and serve. It appeared to be grown men who were lashing out unfairly, in my opinion, at the public. Even going so far as to call the public, we the people, keyboard warriors and other such names, okay? Went so far as to characterize the mainstream media, the mainstream news, as the normal news. The normal news. Okay, so as you probably saw if you did watch my live yesterday, the normal yesterday we were mad. Let's leave aside for for a moment, for the time being, that the normal mainstream news was the news that was putting out the specific lies that these same men were upset about. Okay. That, put that to the side. The normal mainstream news is who put this particular subject line, this subject matter out. And that's what we're talking about today. Really, the bottom line in the case is what happened to the baby. Okay. I think we can use the circumstantial evidence of what we do know as just the pitiful little keyboard warrior public. I think we can use the circumstantial evidence and the very limited information that we have been given to come up with a few clues. Like, it's very unlikely, for example, just using, I'm calling it common sense. Maybe I should get my keyboard out. Make sure I ain't got no passwords written on here. So, okay, got my keyboard. Okay, we're with the keyboard. I'm ready for war. I need a weapon. I don't have any. Hold on. Yes, I do. It's a judge gavel. Okay. I just like props and holding things. Okay. These dudes stood up there and they were talking about how it was the normal media. Thank you so much. You're doing a good job, the normal media. But these keyboard warriors and mainly social media, they're just spreading lies and misinformation. And so I knew he wasn't talking about me, although I still took it personal. He wasn't talking about me because y'all know, and if you don't know, maybe you don't know, go check. Show me if I'm lying. When I cover this stuff, what do I say? I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't there. So I don't know. So the bottom line, and let me be clear, I don't know what happened to the baby, but that is the umbrella question, right? The overarch. What happened to the baby? We can put some clues together and know it's very unlikely he's still among the living. We can put some clues together and determine that it's very unlikely that they have found this. I do not like what that looks like. It's very unlikely they've found the remains. Okay. But then there was a story that breaking exclusive news. Yes, either yesterday morning, the 27th, or maybe it was the night of the 26th, August 26th. This breaking news came from a news correspondent. I don't know what he would call himself, journalist, whatever. I think he's a journalist, a reporter. I'm not trying to be demeaning or deminimizing or whatever. I really don't know what he would call himself. People take it kind of, he's not a blah, blah, blah. He's a blah, blah, whatever. Okay. He's like a guy who's like on the news or whatever. He's on News Nation, is it? Correct me in the chat. Correct me in the comments. I think it's News Nation. But his name is Brian Enton. It's not really that important as to what his name is at this moment. But yeah, he's like a news guy on the News Nation. Okay, this is a news station. They have news in their title. So he also has his own personal, I don't know if it's personal. It could be a corporate account. I really don't know. But he has his own personally branded YouTube channel called Brian Enton. And so on both News Nation, the news, and also on his personal YouTube channel, which I don't know, is that a reporter channel? Is it more like something like what I'm doing? I don't know. The lawyers can sort that out, that are on the case or whatever. But he breaks this story, his breaking news, and it's like sources tell us. So I'm like, okay, we're at TMZ.com again. Does the fact that we, the public, don't know who the sources are make it more likely that the story isn't true? Well, not necessarily. It could be a true story. I think there were anonymous sources that broke and leaked the Watergate scandal, or was it the Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky scandal, to put it one way. There's always, the capability, the possibility to have these anonymous sources and things. So they could be telling the truth. But what is the bottom line? And what do I always say? I don't know. So I actually feel like, I took it personally a little bit yesterday whenever these men who were supposed to be doing their jobs, and instead of doing that, they were chastising, really like us, like basically y'all in the chat, keyboard warrior does have a certain connotation. So whatever, I took it kind of personal because, one of the reasons I know y'all see me stopping a train of thought every so often, even whenever I'm kind of on a roll and I lose my train of thought and everything, because I have to get a disclaimer, because I have to say the same sentence 4 kind of ways to make sure that technically people from any powerful record labels or any townships in another state who don't want to be investigated or something might try to twist my words. So I go to great lengths just for out of self-protection to do a lot of disclaiming, but also credibility. I don't want to be out here, the body found, everybody come in, get coming, just to get a click, just to get $1, just to get a like, just to get a view. I am aware there's some people that do that. I ain't one of them. Now, yeah, sometimes I want to rush. I'm excited to tell y'all. Sometimes I don't go through all the checks and the balances, but one of the things that I'm not trying to sacrifice is what actually is the truth or what actually happened. So you will get news, New York Times or News Nation or anything in between, TMZ even, talking about they got a source that told them something. Well, between yesterday, whenever that breaking story from Brian Enton came out, and today, all hell has broke loose. All right. All hell has broke loose. The cops are livid. They are furious with the fact that stuff is either getting true stuff or false stuff is getting leaked to the media, and the media is talking about it. They're mad. Now, yesterday at the press conference, Sergeant Yosemite Sam, he thanked the normal media, but he really chastised the social media. And he was like, these keyboard warriors, they're making fake stories up. And somebody did ask specifically about a confession. And this is where I think we should start with the clips from yesterday. So let me remove this. And I'm going to show y'all at least a little bit, because I want this live to also be like, y'all know how Inner City Press, I have his link permanently linked below. The man is an American hero. Kids should be studying to be what he is when they grow up. He goes to the Southern District of New York courthouse every day. Every day he clocks in. What is this? No. She's not doing good, y'all. Every day he clocks in. I'm saying clocks in. I think he's like an independent journalist, like an independent girl. Somebody get the hair tutorial. I need a hairstylist quick. I need somebody to just sit in the room with me and just walk up and then you can do this too. And then I can drop your link every time you come on screen. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. That would be funny though. We'll do it at the meet and greet at Fixins. Okay, y'all. Let me collect my train of thought. So what was this story, Brian Enton, yesterday? What was the story about? Oh. So anyway, yeah, okay. Inner City Press. Okay, we're going backwards. Okay, so let's just start there. You know how he does like his books? Like he goes in and he live tweets. Like he was live tweeting like every single breath of the Diddy trial. He was in there every single day, tweeting it out to the people who couldn't access the court. American hero. So I kind of like that. I have one of his books too. Oh, I think I just put it in my bookcase. I did buy one of his books in paper format, but he basically just puts all his tweets in a book. And then you can just buy the book. And then that's what happened at the trial. And you know that you got it from him as the source. It's not NBC. Nobody's publicist pushed anything through it. I mean, to my knowledge. I mean, I've never talked to him, but that's... See, Manda, sometimes it happens. I do get a little bit download from the mothership. It's another way of saying like a direct message, you know, and it just be like that sometimes. Thank you so much. Love you, mean it, Amanda. Matthew Lee is the GOAT. Yeah, seriously. I mean, I couldn't. Yeah. So let's go to Brian Enton's reporting from yesterday. And this is kind of what opened the floodgates. There's a lot of drama going on. There's drama. And the thing is, you know, I think it's ironic because they like to act like it's us, like me and you. Now, I'm not, you notice I'm saying us, me and you, because that's who I can speak for. All right. I'm not going to be out here looking foolish. I'm not going to be out here, if I can help it, looking foolish, taking up for and defending the tactics of some of these content creators. Okay. Some of them gets on my nerves. Some of them I can't condone. All right. So I'm not even out here trying to be like us small independent. I don't speak for them. They can speak for they can speak for themselves. Okay. But I'm speaking for me. And, you know, I guess, you know, I'll speak for y'all in the live chat, I guess. Tweet, I think it's tweeted. Tweeted. She tweeted. I think I would say tweeted. Okay. So is this the one? Hold on. Let me make sure before I pull it up.
Meanwhile, baby Emmanuel's mother,
all right,
is still sticking.
He said this stuff with his full chest too, y'all. And we're gonna go through it. We have some things to get through, and so I want to take my time. I want to take my time on this one because I kind of am inspired by Inner City Press and how he kind of in real time, you know, he goes through the effort, the due diligence of just putting it down, what was actually said, you know, goes through the work. Now, that's not me saying I'm going to watch every second of every one of these clips, but I do have some clips. I want to walk through the story. And I also, you know, I think I was trying to say too, I got distracted. I find it to be ironic that, you know, I find myself within groups that are oftentimes called dramatic, wanting to do everything for a scandal, wanting to do everything for a click, for a like, for a clout, for a view. Okay. But it's the grown men whose, you know, duty and whose actual literal career job it is to protect and serve us, people like me specifically. I mean, I think like we can all agree people like me can't just walk around in a lawless society. I would have to hide under a rock. I'm not going to be defending myself physically, you know, without a pew pew or something, which I don't have. But I support the Second Amendment. Yes, I do. To protect a well-regulated militia, to protect ourselves against what? Tyrannical government. That is what the Second Amendment says. So I understand there's a lot of things going on in the news and the news cycles, but guess what? There's always something going on in the news and the news cycle. So you could just never say you support the Second Amendment. Yes, it's all of our right. It's your right too, even if you don't like it. It's still a right. Let me back up. I might get one. I don't know. You know what I don't like about it is in New Jersey, you have to give them all these like records of like talking to you like doctors and stuff. And it goes back like decades or something. It's crazy. Let me, what I think is interesting. Let me make my point. What I think is interesting is how it's like, people like me, I told y'all yesterday, I would like to be making flower crowns in the meadow, maybe, learning how to make thread, like like doing that by hand with no electricity, like learning how to make thread so I can then make it into a fabric so I can then make like a dress out of it. That's what I want to be doing, to be honest. Do I want to be covering the missing infant whose parents probably killed him? No, I don't. But like I said, the Lord gave me a job. Because the people like Sheriff Bianca and whoever else was up there acting a fool, a damn theater clown yesterday. It was embarrassing. I was embarrassed. We're letting the whole world know these are the men we put in charge of protecting us, girl. I mean, it's looking bleak. So during that conference yesterday, it gets brought up, this reporting right here. Yeah, I want to be barefoot in my grass, which I do daily. I go barefoot in the grass daily. Don't worry. This reporting right here came up yesterday by the man that called us keyboard warriors, but can't bother to protect and serve. Okay, so, I mean, figure that out. Sort that out. Blankets for weeks. I would make dresses. Yes, it would be Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever presents galore I would be making. I'm probably not getting a crossbow. Y'all please don't give any weapons recommendations in the chat. My God, did you miss the whole speech? I get blamed for everything. The FBI is going to be at my door. Please, nobody buy a crossbow. I'm not joking. I'm just saying, y'all, I have to be very careful, and I do. So this comes up, and the guy, the sheriff, Yosemite Sam, calls this a lie or not true. Now, he attributes it, interestingly, to bloggers or social media. I don't know why he does that. Why don't we, actually, no, I think this is where I wanted to start here. This is where we should start. Let's just listen to what Brian Enton says that he's heard from these sources. All right. And again, I don't know because I wasn't there. But what I will note is he is a news reporter. He's like a news guy or whatever. And a lot of y'all seem to like find him to be credible. And not to bury the lead or whatever, but he has doubled down. Okay, so just so you know, as we're talking about this guy has come out and said, no, I stand by what I said. 10 toes. So these are variables to me, I'm just kind of like, if we're edutaining here, I am taking into consideration. Does that mean it means one thing or another? No, but I like to put stuff on both sides of the scale. See the scale? That one's uneven because I got a brass unicorn and a teddy bear. And I think it's obvious. Shout out to Libras in the chat. I realized I left y'all out the other day when we were talking about zodiac signs, but I get along with Libras. And a lot of people think I'm a Libra for some reason. So this guy, he gives me some indications, some factors, some variables to consider. One, he has a reputation amongst people in my chat. Y'all are saying he wouldn't just lie and make it up. And, to y'all's credit, good point. Why would someone just make that up? It's so specific. He has also doubled down on this. So let's hear what it is exactly with his full chest. That's the other thing I was going to say. Another one of the factors, the variables that I'm weighing on the side of the scale, one side scale or whatever, that like maybe this guy is the one that we need to be listening to, not the sheriff. Because what reason does this guy have to lie? He has no reason to lie. Actually, he has reason to tell the truth because if he's just lying, he's not going to have this job very long. And if he has a YouTube channel, he's going to ruin his credibility if he's lying. Now he's come around and doubled down. What reason does the sheriff have to lie? Well, there's an active ongoing investigation. They haven't found this baby's remains. The police are allowed to lie to us, to the public. They are allowed to lie to the public. Legally, from what I understand, if there's, some exigent circumstance. See, I knew there was some Libras in here. Reese is a Libra. Florida's a Libra. I knew it. I knew there had to be Libras galore. And like people that are in here all the time too. Okay. So let's hear, and I'm going to stop it too. Let me put the link in the chat. I should have done that on the description box. I'll put the link in the chat. So y'all can actually see his reporting, because I doubt I'm going to, I might, who knows? I got all day. I don't have nothing to do and nowhere to be except right here. So we might watch every word, but just in case we don't, I just put it in the chat. This video right here. And let me also put it in a notes app so I can put it in the description box later. Somebody remind me. Because I want y'all to do this yourself. Like there's nothing I do. And I used to say a lot of this stuff over and over. And then it was just like I was saying the same stuff over and over to a lot of people. The same people, I mean. But I think it's been long enough now. Like, I mean, the first video I ever made on any account that wasn't just like a personal account was for the purpose of getting information out about Britney Spears' court cases to her fans. So that is still the spirit of what I'm doing. I'm trying to give y'all the tools and the ability to I'm just looking at articles and telling you my opinion and linking different clues together and saying at the end of it, I don't know, I wasn't there. But here's the educated guess, or here's a not educated guess. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know. I got a psychic vision from the Lord. Who knows? But at least I'm telling y'all that's what it is. Maybe sometimes you need to trust the psychic vision from the Lord. I don't know. It's up to you. It's about self-sufficiency. That will lead to sovereignty. Okay, you gotta be self-sufficient. That means you have to not be doing all that self-deprecation too. And you know who you are, who I'm talking to. Okay. All right, so let's get to Brian. And let's just see. Let's take an entryway. I'm going to be pausing it too and giving thoughts and stuff. But this is for purposes of commentary. I do encourage you. I shared the link to go and watch this yourself and come up with your own opinions, and then come back over here and tell me what you think. So here we go.
Much for checking out my channel. Please click to subscribe. In this episode, I have
Mine
exclusive
too.
new information about the baby Emmanuel murder case out of California.
Okay, exclusive.
Baby Emmanuel's father.
He said exclusive. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that the source of the information, or the information itself is only going to be heard here. You're hearing it first. And that's why we always have to read TMZ. I don't want to read TMZ. I don't want to go over there, but they get exclusives. So he's saying this is exclusive. You ain't going to hear this anywhere else. Now, on one side of the scale, he could be lying. Anybody could just say that. I could say, oh, I have an exclusive. It could be not true. So he could be lying. He could be telling the truth. But he said he had an exclusive. This was posted August 27th. So this was published yesterday. I think it was yesterday morning. Wednesday.
Jake Haro told a fake inmate in the jail that he killed baby Emmanuel and put the baby in a trash can in his house. Let me repeat that again.
Repeat it again.
Sources say that Jake Haro told a fake inmate in the jail that he killed baby Emmanuel and put the baby in a trash can in his house. You might be wondering how police got this information.
I do think it goes without saying, but this is a pretty adult not adult like that, but like I would say that it takes a level of emotional maturity. This is not for kids. My videos are not for kids. These videos are not for kids. And this tragedy is about a missing infant. So of course, if that's not something y'all can, I think the topic's clear by this point, but yeah, I mean, I try to sort of like soften my language a little bit just because I don't want to be so crass and crude. But I can't vouch for what they're going to be doing on Brian Enton. Okay.
part of what I'm told is called a
Okay.
Perkins operation.
So let's gather our thoughts on this one. All right, real quick. So first thing out the gate, he's like, it's an exclusive story. No one else is going to tell you this. I have the inside scoop. Cool. Great. Check. Who is the source? Who do we know? That would help us to arrive at what's true, what's not true, but maybe get an educated opinion, because that's all we can do, right? Because what's the ultimate umbrella? We don't know, we weren't there. And what are we trying to figure out? What happened? So as close as we could get to what happened, because we weren't there. And even if we were there, there might have been people there that still don't know everything that happened. Thank you, Lisa, for the $5 super chat. And look, people are paying $5 to take up for this man's reputation. And I'm putting that on there. I'm putting that on side of the scale. Brian's reputation precedes him. Many talk to him because he is the only one they trust. To try to discredit him is disgusting, Lisa said. Now, I'm not trying to discredit him. Just be clear. I don't know if you're talking to me or about this police officer, but I do think that this sheriff did try to discredit him, but he kind of couched it a little bit by acting like it was maybe bloggers or whatever. Thank you, Angel Clement Guidry. That's my cousin, y'all. Thank you for the $9.99 super chats. Shout out to the Libras. Okay, so he says that number one is exclusive. It's an exclusive story, exclusive scoop. Whew, say that 5 times fast, or even 3. And what is the exclusive story scoop? It's that there was a sort of like an operation of some sort, wherein there was a theater. There was a operation theater where somebody pretended to be an inmate at the jail where, what's his name is? Jake Haro. And as Nina points out, I think he told the inmate it was an accident. So we have a lot to talk about. Okay, we've already been here 42 minutes. We're going to be here for a while. Okay, but this is the exclusive inside scoop reporting. Okay, yesterday morning, this was before the press conference.
Emmanuel and put the baby in a trash can in his house.
So what he said, allegedly, according to Brian Enton, is that Jake told this fake play pretend theater inmate that he did sort of, unalive the baby, that he in fact and indeed is responsible. And he explains the way it happened. Apparently it was a rolling over in the bed incident. Okay. Lizzie said, I think they are the epitome of thou doth protest too much, because they wouldn't have gotten so upset at Brian if it wasn't true. That's what some people's theory is. And Nick, you says the police could be upset, and this is a great point. Maybe the police were upset because they got kind of exposed doing what they do. And she said the police may be upset that this exposes the police entrapping people into confessions. To characterize it, Nick Ugrad, as entrapment is actually a huge point of contention, because it's yet again another one of these, well, technically, type of words. Entrapment, they would say, and they have argued, the cops and, the tyrannical government has argued, it is only entrapment under certain circumstances. Bait cars, for example, are not entrapment. Technically. Okay, I'm not telling y'all my opinion of whether something colloquially could be considered an entrapment or entrapping. But in the law, in the courts, and y'all should know this, entrapment requires certain overt acts on the behalf of actual law enforcement. So If it's just, your ex-boyfriend, your, baby's mom, and they just feel like getting dirt on you and bringing it to the cops, and they're the ones who did it, but the cops weren't in on it or anything, that's not entrapment. Okay. So too, NICU grad, does it work with this type of lead gathering? Okay. Because there's a lot of technicalities at play. And this pulls both ways. On one side of things, you want the technicalities because that's what allows us to have fair trials, right? That's what allows us to say, hold on. The jury didn't see no DNA, no fingerprints, and there was a taped confession of someone else confessing to the crime. The jury saw none of that, and someone else was convicted. No, that's not fair. That's a technicality, but the technicality is our right to due process. You see what I mean? It's not on the substance of the case. Did he do it? Did he not? It's on a technicality, like a Brady violation. So on the one side, that's great. I love a technicality, on the other side, technicalities cut both ways, So the police, for example, and this is just kind of like to give y'all an idea. Please don't go out and quote this and say this is the law. It's just to give you an idea of the mechanism. Okay. I don't know the statutes, but this is the mechanism. Sometimes, for example, the cops will be on, I say the cops, but I just mean law enforcement. These could be detectives. These could be investigators. These could be, I don't know, whoever. Private, I don't know, whoever. But it wouldn't be private if it's the cops, so maybe not them. But I really don't know how they do the investigations in real life. All I know is how they taught me in law school how these investigations go, which I'm sure is who knows how accurate, any cop, any agency follows these, right? But let's say they just want, because it's exigent circumstances, to get a certain lead that they're never going to use at trial. They're not going to say oh, we relied on this to get the confession. So cops, especially when there's a missing baby or an exigent circumstance, an emergency, something like that, they're given a lot of latitude to lie, especially to people that are in custody, under suspicion for doing stuff. So sometimes they may just be trying to get something like that, where it's okay, let's see if we can maybe, do some blurry, gray lines, area, blurred lines, gray area of, maybe we can get somebody to say, hey, we know what you did. Some big scary guy come in. Hey, Jake, we know what you did. There's going to be no stopping what's coming for you in this jail. And maybe Jake gets scared. I'm just having a paranoid delusion. I'm just giving you some example of a hypothetical fairy universe that's not this one. Okay, just say. And this is just one option. I don't know, because I wasn't there and I don't know what these people are doing. But let's say Jake's scared for his life in the jail. And he's like, dude, I didn't do anything that was it was accident or whatever. I mean, who knows? Is that the most dignified way to get a confession? No. But should we, do what we have to do to find baby Emmanuel? Maybe to some extent. That's up for the lawyers to decide. It's also possible Jake, that is to say, it's broadly possible Jake did say that stuff. Let's say it's possible. He did say that stuff and it's still not true. Because if he's capable of doing that, isn't he capable of lying to a fake inmate? This ain't his first rodeo. Y'all don't think he knows what a Perkins inmate is? Could these be psychotic geniuses, just playing us all? I mean, I don't know. But you got to keep your mind open. He claimed, Brian Enton, mainstream, he claimed he had an inside source, and he's about to talk to a prosecutor. Now, my question is this prosecutor the inside source, or former prosecutor? But what he's saying is the inside source says that Jake what? Confessed or admitted or... Now, the title just says told. The title says what baby Emmanuel's father told fake inmate in jail and what he allegedly did with body. And I want y'all to pay attention to the different ways that they describe this verb, this act. A verb is an action, right? Run, jump, fly, whatever. So is confess. That's a verb. So is admit. Confess is a verb. Admit is a verb. But so is told. And these all are different words because they have different definitions. They can be used interchangeably because to confess is usually to tell, but can't you confess by writing? Then are you telling? These are the type of word games these people play. So at the end of this whole thing, could we arrive somewhere where it's like technically everything's true and they're all misleading us? I don't know. We're going to have to see. We're going to have to see. But pay attention to, are they saying told, confessed, admitted, other verbs? How are they characterizing it? And pay attention to how much with his full chest he's standing on 10 toes. This is before the police conference yesterday, before the police came out and fussed at all of us. This video came out. Let's just start it over.
How about the baby Emmanuel murder case out of California. Baby Emmanuel's father, sources tell me, Jake Haro, told a fake
sources tell him
jail
he told
he killed baby Emmanuel and put the baby in a trash can in his house. Let me repeat that again. Sources say that Jake Haro told a fake inmate in the jail that he killed baby Emmanuel and put the baby in a trash can in his house. You might be wondering how police got this information. This is part of what I'm told is called a Perkins operation. A Perkins
operation. A Perkins operation. So let me just, there's something before I say it. I don't want to say lead y'all astray. I just want to confirm something. Okay, this is what I thought. I remembered this from law school. Okay, so we have these rights, right? Supposedly, like the First Amendment right to free speech, the Second Amendment right to pew pew, the Third Amendment, whatever. The Third Amendment right is actually to like be free from the government forcing you to let soldiers live in your house during wartime. Isn't that interesting? Okay, so the Sixth Amendment guarantees a few things, or not guarantees, but like protects your right to a few things having to do with a fair trial, like to be represented by a lawyer and to participate meaningfully in your own defense, to be aware and apprised of the certain things and stuff. So the Sixth Amendment comes in there. So one of your Sixth Amendment rights is, while you're a detainee, like an inmate, you have the right to have your lawyer present. This is what I remember. Oh man, they get you good. They do a really good job of forcing you to remember stuff through trauma in law school. I'll tell you that. I remember this stuff. So let's say the police wanted to take Jake Haro and put him in an interrogation room right now. He has a Sixth Amendment right for his lawyer to be present for that. However, if they want to throw him in the holding cell with an undercover informant, your lawyer don't have to be there for that. Look, a Perkins operation is a law enforcement technique where an undercover officer or informant poses as a cellmate to elicit incriminating statements from a suspect. This practice was established in Illinois versus Perkins. These cases all come from these Supreme Court cases. The names come from Supreme Court cases, like Brady versus Maryland. It says, while the Sixth Amendment guarantees, look at this. Don't kill the messenger, y'all. While the Sixth Amendment guarantees the right to counsel, the Supreme Court has ruled in this Perkins case that his right to have his lawyer present while he's questioned wasn't violated. Why? because he didn't know he was speaking to a police officer. Thus, there was no coercion. He could have lied. There was no, I'm telling y'all what they say, okay? I'm telling y'all how it's taught. But as Nick Ugrad pointed out, others have pointed out for years, this is entrapment. This is just a skirting around. This is a skirting around the Sixth Amendment. And also, what do you mean you didn't know? Shouldn't the cop have to tell you? Nope. The cop don't have to tell you if they're a cop. That's another common misconception. A lot of people think that the United States Constitution guarantees that if you ask a cop, hey, are you a cop? That they have to say if they're a cop. That's not true. Now, maybe there's some state laws put in place. I can't speak to that, but the Constitution doesn't do that. Okay, so now, am I saying, oh, poor Jake Haro, he got set up by the Perkins informant or whatever? No, not necessarily. But also, y'all, I mean, Jake Haro is supposed to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. I mean, really, technically, certainly legally, he is still innocent. So does an innocent person have their rights violated? Their right to have their lawyer present when they're being asked questions? The Supreme Court said no, as long as they don't know it's a cop. Steelers Princess, people keep saying this, but we have no idea. This is another we don't really know. It doesn't really, we could put that on the scale, but it isn't dispositive. Steelers Princess says the problem is that Jake is wearing a red jumpsuit, which means he never is in a cell near another inmate. He did have a red jumpsuit on Sunday, but we don't know what happened between Friday when he was arrested and Sunday afternoon when he was in that red jumpsuit. We didn't see him before then. He might have just put that red jumpsuit on to leave out and put a blue one on when he got back in. We don't know. Have you been in there? We haven't been in there. That's the problem. I mean, that's not a problem. I'm happy to not have been in there, but you know what I mean. So let's actually hear what Brian is saying. Let's let him get his exclusive out.
Use a fake inmate to try to get information. This is part of what I'm told is called a Perkins operation. A Perkins operation, which is when police use a fake inmate to try to get information out of someone who has been arrested and who is inside the jail. This Perkins operation came after, I'm told, Jake Haro confessed to police that he rolled over in bed and killed the baby by accident.
Y'all,
and then buried
this is another big point, all right? He speaks kind of fast, but I've watched this part of the video a couple times. Actually, I haven't finished it because I just keep getting so enthralled with the beginning. But he, actually I did finish it. I think I finally did last night. So he said he did this admission to the Perkins inmate, the fake inmate, after he, quote, confessed to the police that he rolled over on the baby. Okay, so we have two separate tellings of stories. We had the beginning one where he started off. In the video where it's like he confessed to this Perkins guy, but he also, or he told to this Perkins witness, but he also said this comes after he confessed to police. Again, I know it's nitpicky, y'all, but this is all we have to go on.
Operation, a Perkins operation, which is when police use a fake inmate to try to get information out of someone who has been arrested and who is inside the jail. This Perkins operation came after, I'm told, Jake Haro confessed to police that he rolled over in bed and killed the baby by accident and then buried the baby. So that is what Jake Haro told.
So that police. I didn't even have the thing up. Sorry, here. So that is another thing that came up at the press conference yesterday. The police have disputed this. They said there was no confession. He did not confess to the police. That's what they said. But here he is saying this with his full chest before the press conference. Yes, there was a confession. The cop said, no, there wasn't. Now he's done circled back around and said, I stand by what I said.
Why he took police to that spot out along the freeway. This video that we have that shows him out there searching. That story, I'm told police believe, was all made up.
Made up.
First, they got that story. Then they decided to do the Perkins operation, I'm told, which is when they used the fake inmate and when they say they got the information.
This is so detailed and so specific that I'm like, why would he just make this up? For what? Now, I mean, there are some reasons, like, again, anything's possible. I don't know. I wasn't there. It could be to just throw people off onto a distract. I mean, who knows? But it's like, he's like, all right, there's two things. And also, you know what else he has going for his story? It actually adds up. Why did they have him out there? Oh, because he confessed to burying him out there. And even though that didn't what happened. All right. So then the cops are like, all right, he was BSing us. So then they do this Perkins thing to try and see if he'll maybe say it to somebody else. Jake knows how the system works. That's another aspect of it. Are the cops allowed to lie and hide in the media if there is an undercover cop involved? Yeah, they are allowed to lie.
Haro actually killed baby Emmanuel and put baby Emmanuel into a trash can. Meanwhile, baby Emmanuel's mother, I'm told, is still sticking to the same story.
She hasn't changed her story.
They also did a Perkins operation with her in jail, and she is standing by her story that baby Emmanuel was kidnapped. That is also, you'll remember, what she told a reporter.
So they also did another Perkins operation on her, and she passed. She didn't change her story. She didn't change her story. So do I believe her story? Still no. But, I don't know. Maybe she, who knows? I don't know. I don't believe the story, but I guess it could be true, even though I don't really believe it. But if he's telling one thing to the cops, he's like, oh, I buried him out in the Badlands. He's not, he's not over there. And then it's like, oh no, he told a, so you can kind of walk through the investigation if what Brian Enton is saying is true, which is maybe embarrassing for the cops, because it's kind of like the whole public is watching them take this guy out for basically a field trip and walk around the Badlands. And then, after that, so like since Sunday, between Sunday and Wednesday, there was this Perkins op, if this is how, if what he's saying is true. And the Perkins got a different answer. It wasn't Badlands. It was trash can. Lots of questions. Is it true, first of all? But second of all, like, even if it's true that he said it, is it true that it's true? Because, I mean, if he already lied to the cops, why wouldn't he lie to this guy? But you can kind of walk through the investigations. Like, okay, well, whenever the going to the Badlands didn't work, then they're like, oh, shoot, next step, Perkins. It's like, don't blow up the Perkins op. I could see that's more motive for them to be lying, and they're allowed to. The cops are allowed to lie. So it's preposterous to be like, well, they wouldn't lie. But then why are they allowed to lie to us if they wouldn't? Hello?
So many tragic twists and turns in this case. My big concern right now is that if this story is true, that police allegedly found out about through this Perkins operation, that he killed baby Emmanuel and put him into a trash can, and that it may have been up to 3 weeks ago.
Exactly, Tony.
Will they ever actually find baby Emmanuel? I'm joined now by Kim Dagonia, a former Riverside County prosecutor. Thank you for joining me again.
So he's joined now by a former prosecutor from this very county. It's Riverside and San Bernardino on a turf war, sharing jurisdiction, whichever way you want to call it. This is a prosecutor who worked, I'm going to rewind it, in the jurisdiction that we are talking about. And you're going to hear her say things along the lines of, this is something they do all the time. This is common. They do it all the time. It's routine. You're going to hear her describe exactly how it goes. Listen and introduce her.
baby Emmanuel. I'm joined now by Kim DeGonia, a former Riverside County prosecutor. Thank you for joining me again, Kim. I want to start with this new reporting that we have that Jake
New reporting.
confessed to police. He rolled over the baby, killed the baby, and then buried the baby. But apparently that story was not true, right?
Yes, that is correct. My inside sources are telling me that was absolutely a lie. He made that all up to the police in order to, I guess, garner some type of sympathy, garner some type of a linear charge or sentence, but he made.
So they're saying, this is Brian Hinton. Again, cops have completely denied that this is true. They called it fake. He tells the police, yeah, okay, fine. You broke me down. Fine. I'll admit it. I did it. I want a lenient sentence. Now, this does kind of add up with one of the things that the cop did say yesterday in the press conference, which was the reason they were out there in the Badlands. The reason they were out there, the cop said, was because there's some degree of cooperation. I'm assuming it's the cooperation of the one they got out there. Hello. And it's because of, it maybe has something to do with other pending cases. Maybe wanting some leniency. So Brian Hinton just said, or this lady on Brian Hinton just said the same thing. He did this. He made this whole fake story up. Oh yeah, I buried him in the Badlands. Really? He had to say that because if he would have said, according to this anonymous, Perkins, whatever, according to that, truth, that he just dumped him in the trash can to go down to the landfill or wherever, that's a lot worse. Maybe in his sick mind or whatever. So it's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to have to admit anyway. And this, if you watch those EWU body camera things, you'll see like this is kind of how these confessions go. They'll admit to one little thing and then they got to keep going, keep interrogating, and then they'll change their story. And then it's like, well, why did you lie? Well, I just tripped on a truck and the baby fell on the toy truck. And it's like, okay, then a little while later, oh, I fell 2 times. It was 2 times I fell. So you do see this. I'm not an expert. I just watched, a few body camera videos on YouTube, but again, in the gut check, it kind of does like make like sense. I try to find where stories can reconcile. Where can they both be true? Any possible way for it to both be true. And then we only are left with the stuff that just can't both be true. So let's listen further. I'm going to rewind like 10 seconds. He's saying, my sources inside. And again, there's this lady, don't forget, like she worked with these people. She was a Riverside County prosecutor. Okay. She was in their exact club, not just any prosecutor. She worked there. Who could the inside source be? Hello.
Was absolutely a lie. He made that all up to the police in order to, I guess, garner some type of sympathy, garner some type of a linear charge or sentence, but he made up this entire fabricated story that he was asleep with the baby Emmanuel, that he rolled over onto baby Emmanuel. When he woke up, he realized the baby was dead and he panicked. And so he went out to the Gilman Springs area that we saw him with the police the other day, and he buried the body because he wanted to have the opportunity to go back and mourn his son's death and visit him. That was his story. That's why he was out there in his chains and his shackles, allegedly trying to lead the police to the body that was never there.
Okay.
Wild goose chase.
The reason that we know that this is allegedly made up is because
y'all, that sentence, girl, what is that sentence? The reason that we know that this is allegedly made up. So the reason that you think it's made up, the reason you believe, sometimes people be trying a little too hard to make their opinion into the news. Like, the reason we know this is allegedly made up, what the hell kind of sentence is that shit? The reason I think it's made up, you can't know something if it's alleged. Those two things can't be true. Anyway, I know y'all like him, but still, girl.
He spoke
See
to
the reason we know it's
someone who he
allegedly made
thought
up.
Okay.
It was just part of the story.
The reason that we know that this is allegedly made up is because of this reporting that we have that he spoke to someone who he thought was an inmate in the jail, but it was actually what is known as, is it a Perkins operation? So it's actually a police officer who he admitted to actually killing the baby. First of all, can you explain what a Perkins operation is?
Okay.
Sure. We don't know.
So now we're going to get her to explain from the perspective of someone who did these things. Now, she was the DA, and she'll explain this part too. She wasn't a cop. She wasn't like inside the cell, but she's going to explain that these things are highly orchestrated. This isn't just some inmate down the thing told me, because why? Because if it's really an inmate, then they're necessarily not credible either. They have reason to lie too, leniency, this, that, the other. So it has to be recorded. It has to be on. There's all these protocol. So that's what's leading me to believe that it doesn't actually matter whether or not he is in solitary or protected custody or segregation right now, because probably there wouldn't be cameras and anything set up there. It would be in a holding cell or like a van or, something like that, I would assume. Let's hear the lady. She's explaining a Perkins operation. Again, she worked in Riverside County as a DA. She tried cases. She said it's very popular. Let's hear her opinion and perspective.
Operation. So it's actually a police officer who he admitted to actually killing the baby. First of all, can you explain what a Perkins operation is?
Sure. We don't know if the person who was undercover was a police officer, if it's another, run-of-the-mill citizen of the community that was acting as an undercover inmate. We just know there was another body.
Who is we?
The jail cell.
Listen to her words. We don't know. Who's we? I don't know who's we. Always pay attention to the royal we. We don't know if it was an actual undercover officer or if it was just a random run-of-the-mill person off the street. But what we know, okay, who's we and how do they know it? But what do they know? Let's hear her.
Another, run-of-the-mill citizen of the community that was acting as an undercover inmate. We just know there was another body in the jail cell pretending to be an inmate in the same inmate clothes as Jake Haro, shackled in the same manner in which Jake Haro is. And they begin to ask questions while being recorded to Jake specifically about the charges and why he's in there, in hopes that he will admit whatever really happened to baby Emmanuel.
This is play by play from her perspective and memory, how these work. And she's like, not only how they work, but specifically here, the inmate would have had the same clothes, would have been shackled in the same way, and would have been trying to get Jake to talk about the murmur. I went back 10 seconds. Let's hear it again.
And they begin to ask questions while being recorded to Jake specifically about the charges and why he's in there, in hopes that he will admit whatever really happened to baby Emmanuel to these fake inmates in custody. And it's called a Perkins operation. These types of investigative tools have been going on for decades in agencies and district attorney's offices across California. It's a very standard and typical investigative tool that you see the sheriff's department use in many different cities and counties across California.
So this is normal.
Is it controversial at all?
This is typical. This is usual. Nothing's wrong with it. He's like, nobody has any problems with it. She's like, yeah, no, it's controversial. And for reasons we already discussed, but you'll hear her as well speak about it.
Doing that?
Yeah. It's been very controversial. I think Orange County District Attorney's Office was at the center of a lot of the controversy a few years ago. From that came a much tighter rein on how these are conducted. The Riverside District Attorney's Office, from my understanding, in my experience, has gone to great lengths along with the sheriff's department to make sure that they are following and articulating the legal analysis and following the law as they conduct these operations.
So that little disclaimer kind of pulls in what I think it was TB yesterday said in the chat. He said, well, hold on, I have a theory. They did do this Perkins operation and they didn't do it by the book. Maybe something was a little bit not quite by the book about it. Yep. Verica, this is kind of what I was saying at the beginning of the video. Admitting and telling and confessing are not the same thing. So did he admit and not confess? Did he tell and not confess? We don't know, but this is how they play with words. But she said this ain't no middle of the mall shit. This is a full blown, they go by the book and they go to great lengths. They go to great lengths. Why? Because it's controversial. They know it's not really like looked happily upon. So they go to great lengths to make sure they do it in a legal, constitutional way or whatever.
Understanding, in my experience, has gone to great lengths along with the sheriff's department to make sure that they are following and articulating the legal analysis and following the law as they conduct these operations. It's very specific, and in my experience, they follow the law in using this tool as an investigative means to get a confession out of many defendants.
To get a confession.
So this was
she said, using this tool as a means to get a confession. So that's what it's for. It's to get them to confess. It's to get them to confess. She's dry snitching on her own people, former worker or not. I mean, yeah, she is. He hasn't been formally charged yet. Well, he has. Yes, he has. Or you're saying he hadn't? He has been formally charged officially. That happened Monday, Tuesday. He's been charged. Oh, yeah, he's charged. Yeah, of course they followed the law. Of course they did. The only, Amy, again, only issue, again, just because, okay, first of all, we don't actually know unless we personally, and I'm not talking about somebody's son. I'm not talking about you went to that same jail one time. I'm talking about unless you are in there right now with him and can see. You don't know where he is in this prison. Now, maybe your son told you, I saw he's in Gen Pop. I saw he's in sex. Maybe. But maybe your son saw him in what I'm saying is unless you got eyes on the man 100% of the time, you don't know when he could have been not with another, not in a red suit, not in the segregation, not in the PC. We just don't know. We don't know who this could be. We don't know when he could have been given this confession. Now, it has to have been after Sunday, if Brian is right. I will agree, though, it's kind of hard to build up the goodwill or the trust to just be blabbing about what you did. I don't know.
Fake inmate who he told.
In using this tool as an investigative means to get a confession out of many defendants over the years.
So this was a fake inmate who he told reportedly that he killed baby Emmanuel and then put baby Emmanuel into a trash can. I'm just thinking about waste management and all the trash cans and the landfill. I mean, it sounds like this could be very difficult in terms of finding his remains.
Yes, that's the sad part of all of this. That is correct. He did confess to these, we would call them fake inmates.
So another thing that does add up, where the two stories do agree, is this point. Yesterday, the police officers said that they had, or the district attorney said that they had some ideas, pretty good idea of where the remains are. And then on the Tira guy, he was like, so earlier you said you know where the remains are. And the district attorney got mad. He was like, that's not what I said. And it was like, okay. What did you say? And he even clarified again that they had a pretty good idea of where they are and that they are actively and ongoingly searching them. Well, for me, that would add up to and with and be able to be reconciled, and both could be true with at least this part of the Brian Enton story. Because if this anonymous tipster is saying that the confession had to do with him throwing him in the garbage, then the waste management companies would have to get involved, and they would have to be having cadaver dogs go through all the landfills. Well, I could also see that gives a motive to lie about it, because the public can get to the landfills, and I would absolutely discourage and say, y'all better freaking not. But, or even somebody who was trying to help Jake, somebody trying to help Jake could go and look for something, who knows? So again, these things could all both be true, could all be true. Not all, but many of these things could also still be true on both sides of this story. I went back 10 seconds, so let's listen further.
Be very difficult in terms of finding his remains.
Yes, that's the sad part of all of this. That is correct. He did confess to these, we will call them fake inmates, that he did kill baby Emmanuel.
She said confess.
And that he threw him in the trash can at his home. Approximately a week before Rebecca Haro even stated that the baby was missing. So baby Emmanuel's been missing for quite some time.
A week before.
And as a result, Waste Management, from my understanding, has told the sheriff's department.
And that's another one that can add up to, is that the indictment and the criminal complaint, it says August 5th is whenever the beginning of this investigation date is. And so if it was August 5th, then, that's about 10 days, AKA over a week before he's reported missing. Now, she also says the Waste Management Company has told the sheriff's department it will be almost impossible to really figure out which landfill, which truck it went on, because we don't know the exact date. And even if we did, it would still be pretty hard.
It would be nearly impossible to determine which waste management truck took the trash, which bin it was in, and which landfill this particular trash can would have gone to, making it almost impossible that we will ever find baby Emmanuel's body.
Almost impossible.
That's awful to think about.
It really is.
Terrible.
It really is.
So this Perkins operation with the fake inmate happened. Did that happen after, I'm assuming, the after he lied and said that he buried the body?
Yes.
Okay. So that was
the
really
Perkins operation. The Perkins operation happened first. Waffles Biscuits. So while it is true that he wasn't formally charged, he wasn't formally charged when he was out there. He was formally charged Tuesday. And regardless whether he was formally charged or not, I'm pretty sure it's still just like if you're in custody. He had been certainly charged or accused by the police, booked. That's the word I'm looking for. And I think it's once you're booked. But the Perkins operation happened after this, because what happened was, according to Brian Enton, and I don't know, I wasn't there. What happened was, according to him, they went out and did this Badlands search. It was a crock. It was a lie. It was false. So then they sent in this Perkins guy, like, what'd you really do? Or whatever. And he confessed to that one. And she's saying confessed, but it's going to come down to these legal terms of art on what's a confession.
Chase out there.
It was 100% a wild goose chase, from my understanding.
Well, that's got to be frustrating for law enforcement.
Oh, for sure. And it goes to show you Jake Haro's mental status, right? The level that he will go to not only kill an infant, but the great lengths he will go to cover it up and create this fabricated lie. Such a fabricated lie that he allowed investigators to participate in something that's not ordinarily done, which is
a field trip.
Taking a field trip out to a fake crime scene. I mean, he created all of that in his mind, knowing it was a lie, knowing it was fake, and lived out the entire lie.
And so he could have lied to the Perkins witness.
That's pretty intense.
Yeah,
it just shows the level that you're dealing with.
I'm thinking back to his story. He said that he was mourning his son, so he buried him. Like, how does that make any sense?
It don't.
Right. He claims that from what I understand, he buried the body close to his home so that he could go back and visit, almost like a gravesite, because he never planned on telling anybody the baby was dead.
But that was all made up.
Yes.
Okay. And then we've also reported that Rebecca Haro, that there was also a Perkins operation with her. So a fake female prisoner, and that she has been sticking to her original story.
So
which is,
Keek said if the body isn't found, they can't determine the cause. Yes. And that is why they're saying that it was murmur. But the murmur was from basically long-term abuse, because that's the only thing they're going to be able to try to prove is this long-term abuse, because there is no body, because they can't say, well, it was in the coroner's report, the cause of death was XYZ or whatever. I mean, but at this point, if they even find the remains, I mean, what are they going to be able to tell about a cause of death? However, they will at least be able to say, and his body was found in a landfill, or his body was found in a whatever. And at least the remains, they'll be able to do that. Okay. So, I mean, I think that's pretty much the gist of that video. We do need to get to some other ones. So I did put the link in the chat for that one. Now let me go to their press conference.
And let's listen to some of the things these geniuses
in this investigation trying to originally find.
I will take questions. I will take all of your questions till they're. And so we're here to clear up some misconceptions and to explain how this.
Okay, so they are pissed, girl. They are pissed. Misconceptions. They're here to clear them up, everybody. They're going to clear up the misconceptions. And one of the misconceptions turns out to be Jake Haro confessed. He didn't confess in jail. He didn't confess. He didn't do that. That's fake. That's false news stories from social media. But actually turns out it was actually from Brian Enton, who's not social media. He's like mainstream news, meaning he works for a station that says news in its name. Okay, so let's let these clowns clear up the misinformation then.
In terms of the investigation, it involves two counties working very well together. I know everybody up here on this stage, we work well together normally, but in this case, I'm very proud of the work that was done by Riverside County Sheriff, San Bernardino County Sheriff, my office, and also the District Attorney's Office in San Bernardino County. All right, so we'll go ahead and kick this off. I'm going to bring up first San Bernardino County Sheriff Shannon Dicus.
Thank you, Mike. To Mike's point, I want to thank all of you in the media for covering this, specifically the parents' initial statements to the public while we were trying to find Emmanuel. They became critical.
I will say this guy, honestly, he's fine. Like, he didn't say keyboard warrior. And as you just said, he just said, I would like to thank all of the media here for amplifying the parents' interview. So, slay. I mean, no problems with him. He's fine.
This investigation. But I want to talk about a little bit about the process, because we've seen a number of questions related to Amber Alerts and things like that. So I hope when I finish this that everybody understand kind of the course of the investigation.
I don't really want to focus on the Amber Alert. Let me get the transcript up. Let's go to, we can't get through this video without going to the normal media. Okay. Here we go.
And they did so in order to tell the public, the media, and ultimately law enforcement that their child had been kidnapped, when in fact that's not what occurred. And so we're here to clear up some misconceptions and to explain.
They got to clear the
how this
misconceptions. He said it
case
again.
unfolded in terms of the investigation. It involves two counties working very well together. I know everybody up here on this stage.
Wait,
We
where's
work
the
well
normal?
together normally.
Oh,
but
it
in
didn't
this
go to
case,
normal. Hold on. Here. Oh, no, it does. Okay. Oh, because I went to the wrong normal. Okay. Here, this one. Sorry. All right. So this guy starts rapping. He's like wrapping it up. I'm like 30 seconds ahead. Then we're going to get to normal media.
That we're not going to be able to share today exactly how we did that, but there is a tremendous amount of evidence that suggests that the initial story posed was not the correct story. So in that partnership with our agencies, I'm going to introduce my partner, Chad Bianco, where this crossover occurred at Riverside, and we reached out to Mike, who's obviously filing the case, and of course, Chad, to assist us in the investigation. Chad?
Chad Bianco, ladies and
Thank you.
gentlemen.
Sheriff Dykes, I just want to thank all of you for, especially the normal mainstream media, for your attention.
Yeah. Yeah. He said normal mainstream media when that's the ones that's spreading the story. Okay. Let me go to the part where it's like fake, where he says fake news, fake, false, misinformation, whatever. Here you go. Here you go. Oh, y'all are going to be pissed. Okay. Here you go. Ah! What the hell? Hold on.
San Bernardino.
Girl. Okay. Here. Nope.
This
Still wrong.
investigation trying to
Still
originally.
wrong. Still wrong. Sorry. It was like 23 minutes something. I had like a glitch and everything. Fell apart. Okay, here. There we go. Woo! Girl. Okay, this is as good a place to start as any. Okay, here we go. Now he's going to talk about the fake misinformation and stuff, and he's going to talk about it with respect to the confession and stuff, I think.
Trying no body homicides, and we're confident that we can gain convictions in this case. Yes, ma'am.
Tell us more about the search on Sunday. What led to that field and why that area?
I think Sheriff Dyke has already explained that. I answered that question by saying there's been a level of cooperation with the defendants. So that's why they went to that area. But beyond that,
a level of cooperation.
Yes, ma'am.
I think the obvious question is what happened then? And this is, look at him. He's getting mad. Every keyboard warrior that ever was is about to pay through this lady. He is pissed. Look at him. I'm going to rewind 10 seconds. Watch his demeanor change. His face begins to contort. I went back 10 seconds. He's answering that question. That's all we're going to be able to say. And then this lady starts asking her question. So I can't turn it up any louder, but the captions are on. She says, I think the obvious question, and she's freaking right. It is the obvious question. What happened to baby Emmanuel?
That's why they went to that area.
So he's fine now. He's fine. But wait till this girl asks him a question. It's fake inmate information.
Well, see, that's not true.
The fake, he wouldn't let her finish.
No,
it's not true.
See, this is what happens when you've got all these folks out there.
Let me stop. Let me stop him right there. Let me stop him. Let me stop you right there, sir. Because what you're not going to do over here is interrupt me. Okay, so we're going to go back. Thank you. She didn't even finish her question, and she was asking the freaking question on everybody's mind. What happened? She said, you could understand, I'm paraphrasing here, as the, from the public are concerned. You have all this information coming this way and that way, something about a fake inmate. He didn't even let her. He didn't even let her finish the question before he puts his hand out. This public servant. No, that's not true. No. If he could have slapped her in the head, I think he would have. If it was legal and he wouldn't have got in trouble, he wanted her to shut the f up. But she's asking a pretty good damn question. And Brian Enton's over here saying he's got inside sources. He's got a former prosecutor from Riverside. No, that's not true. See, that's not true. You have all these keyboard warriors. Listen what he is about to say. Girl, why it won't play? Here. Look at his... Oh, shoot. Yeah, she's like, we're hearing all this crap.
I don't know where you... Well, no. So this is what happens when you've got
He's
all
laughing.
these
Okay, hold on. We need to do body language analysis. I'm a body language analyzer now. All of a sudden, I just got my degree from rightnow.com right now. He's glancing around to the other men in the room and the other women who play ball with him. Now, there's also men in this room he doesn't agree with and he doesn't like the Tita. So what he's doing is he's doing this. The Steve-O does this too. This is a Steve-O move as well. It's a body language. This is body language analysis. He puts his hands out as to establish his own space and his own dominance, but also to distance himself from any accountability of the idea of whatever she's asking. Okay. And he starts to glance around to the other more reasonable people in the room who aren't maybe asking the most obvious question of the freaking year. What can you tell us? Because we're hearing a lot of stuff. There's exclusive this and that. And, he does say in here, this idiot, he does say, and bless his heart, I'll pray for him tonight, probably won't. But I don't know where you're getting that or I don't know where that's coming from. He begins to say something along those type of lines. But he stops himself. This is my linguistic analysis. He stops himself as to make sure he doesn't say something that's actually provably, demonstrably false. He stops himself before he finishes the whole, I don't know where you got that from, because where it actually came from was Brian Enton, who works at News Nation, who is a mainstream media journalist, bona fide journalist. So I don't know where you're getting that from. He's looking around to his friends in the room, to his in the club friends, like people in the club with him, like the ones that are, the other men, the other guys that look like him and somehow manage to have slicky, wet hair all day. I don't know how that happens. He's smiling. Look at this little girl. I already told you. I'm going to speak for the young women who would much rather be doing stuff like not worrying about the safety of our freaking children. I can assure you, Mr. Smug Smirk, I can assure you, I'm going to speak for every young woman, all right? We would rather if we didn't have to worry about this type of bullshit. But men and women like you would rather laugh at us whenever we have to come do your job because you can't freaking do it. Incompetent, useless buffoon. He's looking around for support. Look at him laugh. Look at him giggle. Look at this face says it all. This face says it all. That's the true feeling. And he wants to act like Mr. Sassy Pants. Somebody didn't freaking tell him this morning at the team meeting, at the huddle, at the 1, 2, 3 team. Somebody didn't freaking inform this mother guy. He's not in charge here. This is this is you getting called to the carpet, buddy boy. You're not in charge. You're not the boss. You're not the boss. Who the fuck are you talking to? You need to be answering the question that's asked, mother. That's what you need to be doing. Because I'm wanting to know. Put a 2 in the chat if you want to know the answer to the question. What's the deal with all the reporting of the Brian Hinton said this and that? He almost says he don't know where it's coming from, but he knows where it's coming from. So he stops himself. And then, in my opinion, that's what I think. I mean, I don't know what he knows. I don't know him. But then, instead of putting the blame on the right person, who is his former coworker, the Riverside prosecutor. He ain't mad at her. Is she a keyboard warrior? Because I know we just saw her bleached out. I know we just saw her saying this is how it works. And I know we all just saw Brian Hinton, who's a newscaster, saying that. He ain't calling him out. Excuse me, him. But it's keyboard warriors. He first says he don't know where it came from. So either he's lying or he's telling the truth. I think he's lying. But let's say he's telling the truth. Well, then why the flying, you know what, did he blame it on keyboard warriors? If he knew, right? Let's do the decision tree. This is how you catch somebody in a lie. Because you got to find the stuff that can't all be true at once. All right. Does he know where the information come from or no? Either way, he says, sort of, I don't even know where you're getting. I think he knows where it came from. I think that's why he stopped himself. But let's just say that was a full statement on its own. He said, I don't know where you're getting that. Well, either that's true or false. Either he knows exactly where the hell it came from, which is what I think it is, or he don't. So if he's telling the truth and you don't know where it came from, then what? Why are we getting blamed? It's the keyboard warriors and he don't even freaking know where it came from. Well, that's kind of eerie fucking responsible to blame your constituents and the people to whom you owe a duty. The people who are on their keyboards are the ones who aren't out here with the bulletproof vest because that's not our fucking job. Einstein. That's a bold thing to say for somebody who don't know where we're getting that information. However, let's say he's lying and he knows exactly where it came from. Well, then he's just blaming other people with malice. Whenever the real issue is this man, Jake Haro, should have been in prison for years, at least since 2023. And I think they're mad. What they're really mad at and what Jake Haro and Rebecca Haro, this is my opinion, are what they're really getting punished for has nothing to do with the fact this baby's remains are missing. It has to do with the fact they did a press conference and exposed the world to the truth that in Riverside and or San Bernardino County, you can abuse and beat your 10-week-old baby within an inch of his or her life and get 1 day in jail and work release. They didn't want everybody finding that out because now that person can go off into the sunset and do it again and again because they're not in prison. They can make more babies and beat more babies. I think nobody cared about Precious Faith or whatever her name, Promise Faith. I think they didn't give a shit. I think somebody's collecting a check off of her right now. This is my opinion. I don't know these people. I ain't one of them ones goes talk to family members. I'm suspicious of freaking family members who could allow this to happen not once but twice in a family. Maybe they know some more stuff we don't know. I ain't going kiki with them either. They didn't care about Emmanuel. That's one less baby that has welfare as far as they're freaking concerned. Let's be honest about how they think about us. They're mad they got exposed. And that's why they're both pointing fingers at each other at this press conference. That's why they're pointing fingers. Well, there was a visiting judge from of San Bernardino County who did that decision. Oh, so you're trying to say point finger. Just like how Jake Haro probably doing is probably pointing finger. They all just doing this. The men with the duty and the job and the career and the responsibility to protect us and serve us are doing this. And guess where else they doing? Right at you. You too. You the keyboard warrior. It's your fault this happened. It's your fault this investigation is going this way. It's the judge's fault. It's the keyboard warriors. It's the media. I know what I'm looking at when I'm looking at it. All right. In my opinion, I don't actually know because I wasn't there.
Well, see, that's not true. So I don't know where you, well, no. See, this is what happens when you've got all these
Infantilizing.
folks out there online and these
It's
keyboard
online,
warriors. You get a
folks.
lot of misinformation. And what you just said is not true. It's misinformation. So that's what I'll tell you did not happen. Okay?
Sassy.
I can't talk about the facts of the case. Well, no, I'm giving you information about
Sassy. Look how he's talking to her like she's a naughty girl.
But what you just said did not happen. So, that's not.
You bad little naughty little girly girl. You better stop questioning daddy. You better stop it. That's not what happened. The last time I got talked to like this was Kenneth Maxwell, former FBI agent who was supposedly vetting a documentary, which ended up being a hit piece full of lies. Then before that, the last time I got talked to like this by somebody, it was the general counsel of the law firm I was working at, because Britney Spears's business manager had hired my law firm that I was working at to create a conflict, in my opinion. I don't know why she hired him, but I think that's why she did. And then it was, oh, can you stop making videos about her? And I was like, no, absolutely not. And I was like, you already told me I could make videos about her. What do you mean? I was here first. Tell her to go find another law firm. And one of the things I was saying that he wanted me to, that they wanted me to stop saying, one of the things I was saying that they wanted me to stop saying was that, Lou Taylor was affiliated with this company, Stonebridge. And it was like this, Lou Taylor's the business manager. She had this investment company, basically, that she was taking Britney Spears' money and putting it in her own investment company at one point. And then Britney got put in a conservatorship, and that still went on. I'm like, there's a huge conflict of interest. And so they were making much ado about whether or not this bitch was affiliated with Stonebridge or is affiliated. And he was talking to me like this. Well, BJ, that's not quite true. I mean, it's different. I'm a litigator, he said. These fucking lawyers. I'm a litigator. So when you say is affiliated, it means a certain thing. I said, all right, Larry. To my memory, I'm paraphrasing. I said, all right. I don't know if she is affiliated or was affiliated. I'm certainly not a litigator, because I was just a lowly corporate attorney. I was just a lowly transactional attorney doing $1 billion deals and stuff, working on teams that were doing $1 billion. No, that's all I was doing over there. I wasn't litigating. I said, so I'm not a litigator, Larry. But she started the company. She started the investment fund. She worked at it as an employee. She was the executive vice president and founder. She was a director. And for 5 years, she was all of that and Britney Spears' business manager while Britney Spears was in a conservatorship. So the current president of the one company, used to be the president of TriStar Sports and Entertainment. TriStar Sports and Entertainment is Lou Taylor's company, and she used to be the president or the vice president over there of the investment firm. Britney Spears' money was in it. So I don't know. I'm not a litigator. But yeah, maybe it was affiliated. But that seems like is affiliated to me. So then he did it again. He kept doing it. At one point, he's like, well, now, BJ, can we try to be, fair and reasonable about this? And I said, as opposed to, at one point he asked me, well, BJ, I mean, you're a lawyer, right? You wouldn't lie. Why would Lou Taylor's lawyers call me and lie on behalf of their client? You would never lie for a client, would you? I said, what I would do and what they do is two separate things. If I was implicated in a billion, maybe multi-billion-dollar conspiracy to traffic celebrities and steal all their money, I might lie about it. Hell yeah. Especially up against some first-year lawyer. Hell yeah, I might, if I was them. But I don't know why you asked me what I would do. But it was this infantile, well, now, this keyboard warrior. It's like the same demon is possessing these men that need to actually buck the fuck up and be men with his shiny ass hair, Where's the remains of this baby? And why are you fussing at people that you work for? And it's probably, honestly, y'all, the joke at the end of the day is probably true. It's probably actually true. But he's standing up here saying it's false. It's probably actually true, this tip. I don't know. I wasn't there.
And these keyboard warriors, you get a lot of misinformation. And what you just said is not true. It's misinformation. So that's what I'll tell you did not happen. Okay?
But you can't say what did happen.
I can't talk about the facts of the case.
So no.
I'm giving you information about baby Emmanuel. I'm giving you information about the cases and the investigation. But what you just said did not happen. So, you know, it's
probably happened.
I can't be responsible for when you guys get it wrong. Go ahead.
I know you have not found remains yet, but based on
I can't wait for this to turn out to be what happened. And then I'm playing this on repeat.
is a strong likelihood that remains were at least at one point.
Okay. So that was that thing. Okay. So,
Yeah, I'm.
so y'all heard it there. Let me find confess. I think they just said something about that too. All right, here. So this is about a confession.
To my knowledge, CPS has not been involved with Emmanuel. I don't believe there was any CPS involvement in this current case.
Okay, here we go.
Let me go. I've already called on you. So have I called on you already? No, go ahead, please.
We're hearing reports about a confession being made in jail. Now, he's not tisking her. What have you heard about a confession?
That's not true. It's there's no confession made in jail. I'll go back there and then I'll come back to you, Rob. Yes.
See how fast? See how fast? I'm going to do my keyboard warrior body language analysis. Did you see how fast he moved on from that question? He just simply said, there's been no confession. That is not true. He did not confess. But what did we talk about nearly 2 hours ago when we came on here? Confess has a specific meaning. Confess might, in this man's mind, require something signed. Maybe the lawyer there. Maybe you do it in front of it. I don't know. Now, the other lady, she was playing fast and loose with words. Maybe they have a different definition of confess. He's mad that he got lied to. No, there was no confession, quote, made in jail. Great point, Sarah. Maybe he made the confession in the truck. We don't know. The fact he moved on so fast made it seem like that was the only sentence he was going to be able to give. All right. Now, the girls are fighting. The boys are fighting. The men are fighting. And now we have two conflicting stories. I went live yesterday and I said that. I was like, y'all, now we have conflicting stories. Brian is saying he got an inside source saying one thing, and the cops have unequivocally denied it. And then that other little captain, Yosemite Sam with the weird mustache, he said, unless you see it coming from us, daddy government, tyrannical government, unless you see it coming from us and our official propaganda sources, don't believe it. He basically just said, don't even believe it. So it's like, all right, shit. Take that, Brian Enton. Well, he goes on Banfield last night and doubles down. Look at him.
So I've learned through sources that Jake Haro, baby Emmanuel's father, told police that he accidentally rolled over in bed. This is what sources
told
are telling
police
me, and accidentally killed baby Emmanuel.
Rolled over on him
and then buried
him
in a place so that he could go there to grieve him, which obviously made no sense. But when you think back to the weekend, Ashley, when police were out searching with Jake Haro in the jumpsuit, they had him out there. Very unusual to see that right along the freeway there in that area. It lines up with the story from my sources that he had indicated, and he's had a couple of stories, which I'll get into, but with this story that he had indicated to police that he buried baby Emmanuel after accidentally killing him.
So the other question I have for you is the second story.
This.
The first story was he tells the police he's rolled over on the baby and buries the baby.
There's two stories. there's two stories, two confessions or admissions or tellings. One to the cops that's rolling over on the bed, burying him in the Badlands. The other was to this fake inmate. So Ashley Banfield's like, can we talk about the fake inmate now?
Out on, near the highway, clearly leading to those pictures. But then there's a second version of Jake Haro speaking in jail. What did you learn about this?
Yeah, and this is very interesting. So sources tell me that there was something called a Perkins operation, Perkins operation, which is not unusual in California. And this is when either an undercover police officer or not a police officer, but an informant basically pretends to be an inmate in the jail to get information out of someone who is in custody. And I am told that there was a Perkins operation involving Jake Haro. And as a result of that operation, they got information, the detectives, that
So I want to let y'all know this was posted 16 hours ago, and as you can see, it is nighttime where he is. So he came out saying all this stuff after the press conference, and then people were again reporting it. He confessed, and I'm like, y'all, I know y'all just heard us all getting cussed out by these people for running with stuff that's not true, and now I know y'all just heard them cops tell us earlier today that it's literally fake news. He's hollering at people. And here's Brian Enton saying it again as if he didn't hear them say it as if he didn't hear him say it. Now he will get to addressing it, but I want to let you know for the timeline, this video, this interview he did with Banfield, it was after that press conference we just watched. He's doubling.
Baby Emmanuel and had put, and it's awful to say, I mean, it's just awful, but had put baby Emmanuel into a trash can.
So I want to play something from the district attorney in this case, speaking to reporters earlier about the fact that they have a pretty strong idea of where they think
she's not.
baby Emmanuel is. Let's play that.
The clip.
We have a pretty strong indication of where the remains of baby Emmanuel are. So that investigation is ongoing at this time. The filing in this case reflects our belief that baby Emmanuel was abused, a victim of child abuse over time, and that eventually, because of that abuse, he succumbed to those injuries.
So two questions there. We have a strong indication of where the remains of baby Emmanuel are. How does that square with this story that police say Jake Haro told to, the plant in the jail that I killed the baby and threw the baby in a trash can?
Yeah, I mean, look, they must have some other information, because when they're saying that there's been a history of abuse, whether it's information from neighbors or from who knows, videos or phones or pictures or whatever, where they have now put together a timeline that baby Emmanuel was abused over time. But it's also interesting, Ashley, that at that press conference, the DA was specifically asked, did you get a confession?
Yes, he brought it up.
Jake Haro, and he said no, and he almost seemed mad about it, that they were asking about it, and he said no, which was
I'm glad he said that. I'm glad he said that. It did seem like almost like he was mad about it, didn't it? It almost seemed like he was mad.
Reporting, and I just want to tell you, I've double, triple, quadruple checked. I stand by my reporting. I think we're down to semantics here, and in the legal world, a confession.
He said, I think we're down to semantics here. I think we're down to semantics. In the legal world, confess has a certain meaning versus told.
You would think with my reporting, and I just want to tell you, I've double, triple, quadruple checked. I stand by my reporting. I think we're down to semantics here. And in the legal world, a confession, there's a very, very strict definition of that. And I don't know what the DA's definition of confession is when it comes to what he would want it to be in a court of law. But I stand by my reporting when it comes to...
Because what did he say? He said there has been no confession in jail. Let's get this question and this question. That was it.
To the Perkins operation and what resulted from that operation, Ashley.
It's hard to believe that they can make the statement, we believe that he was subject to abuse over time, and because of that abuse, he succumbed to his injuries. Does anybody know how they can say that, how they know, or how they can profess to know that this baby had been injured many times and thus died from
Good
all
question.
that sort of collection of injuries?
No, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. There may be more information that they were able to obtain from the operation in the jail that I just don't know about. Or like I said, it's possible that it seems like they've been hard at work, these investigators. I mean, behind the scenes, they may have gotten evidence, again, neighbors, pictures, maybe there's medical records.
So
I'm not
basically,
sure,
he
but
don't
they were
know,
very clear in
right?
their latest.
It's like, is it admitted? Is it confess? Is it told? Is it? Oh, does she have a tan? Who has a tan? Definitely not me, girl. Okay, so I have also a whole nother version of the story from a whole entire different media source that has nothing to do with the confession, where this guy is maintaining his innocence. Okay. Shout out to Rabbit for sending me this article. This is another exclusive jailhouse interview. Father of baby Emmanuel says he would tell his missing son, quote, "I love you, buddy." He denied his son was a victim of long-term abuse. Now, oh no, did it not? Oh no, it's kind of cut off. Shoot. He said in a jailhouse interview yesterday. So he did an interview yesterday. That the Riverside County District Attorney, Mike Hestron's assertion of the term abuse was not. It's not gonna open if I'll click it. Hold on. Hold on. Let me just pull it. Let me get this article to where it'll actually show up. Like y'all, because it's like cutting off a lot of words. Okay, lawyer emails. Shout out to Amanda for the $10 Cash App. What am I looking for? Yes, this rabbit. Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna pull up the. Is it doing it again? Hold on. Oh shit. All right. Only let me do it this way. Okay. Here. An exclusive jailhouse interview, the father of the baby says that he would tell his missing son, "I love you, buddy." Sorry, I'm just trying to get my little screen right here. All right, so there he is. Jake Haro said in a jailhouse interview yesterday, Wednesday, August 27th, that Riverside County District Attorney Mike Hestron's assertion that Haro's missing 7-month-old son was the victim of long-term abuse. This is not true at all. But Jake declined to discuss what role, if any, he played in Emmanuel's disappearance. The plot thickens. Jake Haro, 32 years old, and his wife Rebecca were charged Tuesday, 2 days ago, with murder and filing false police report with bail set at $1 million each. Jake said little else about the case in the interview with a Southern California News Group reporter via video hookup at the Larry D. Smith Correctional Facility in Banning. Jake Haro would also not say whether he led authorities to the Moreno Valley Badlands on Sunday, August 24th, where he was spotted with investigators, but he did say he has been completely cooperative with investigators. He says, quote, "I want to talk about it, but I can't." He had instructions from his attorney, and it says, "I was told, don't do no press." Haro wore a red jumpsuit, indicating that he is in the segregated housing for his protection. He said he had no contact with any other inmates. Okay, so again, this seems to be like he is saying, nope, I don't talk to other inmates. But did he talk to them in the holding cell? Did he talk to them ever? Not does he talk to them every single day, but did he talk to them ever at all? He said he sometimes would wipe his face with a white cloth. His eyes appeared to be red. He said he attended Banning High School, where he played tight end and linebacker on the football team. During the 45-minute interview, Jake said the couple cares about Emmanuel. They even attempted to schedule several appointments to give vaccinations to the child, but one hospital was just completely out of vaccines. Girl, when they run out of them? I don't believe it. Nope. Anyway, he said eventually they switched hospitals and had an October 2nd appointment to get Emmanuel his shots. Rebecca claimed that Emmanuel was kidnapped by a man who she said knocked her unconscious in the parking lot of a Big Five, kicking off the investigation and what has become a national story. Jake talked at length about his child cruelty conviction in 2023, which he said prompted investigators to unfairly assume that he unalived Emmanuel. Jake said he accidentally dropped his baby on a sink divider while he was bathing her, but she didn't appear to be injured at the time, but she was later found to have broken bones and other serious injuries after the baby's mom, who was Jake's wife, woke him up in the middle of the night. Now that child is bedridden. Both the husband and the wife made plea deals in that case. When it's not a plea deal, they said that to call it a plea deal was not accurate. It was some type of deal, though, with the judge over the objection of the district attorney's office. Jake received 180 days in the sheriff's work release program, and he was handed a suspended 4-year prison sentence and ordered to attend a child abuser treatment program. Well, I guess the treatment didn't work. He had a relapse. Okay. Jake said Wednesday the sentence was fair, just serving 1 day. This child can't walk, can't talk, and I think she can't hear. See. She can't walk, she can't talk, and she's blind. He said the sentence was fair. He went to jail for a day. He said he wanted to take the case to trial, but he pled guilty because he didn't have the money to go to trial. The judge said nobody was going to believe his side of the story. Yeah, probably because he said he dropped her in a sink divider and there was no injuries. And then whenever they actually brought the child to the doctor, the hospital, the child had many broken ribs, like 6, 7 broken ribs, a skull fracture, hemorrhage in her brain, some type of matter, some type of inflammation. It was bad. A broken leg, tibia, from twisting. So this is far beyond dropping in a sink. And that's probably why the judge said nobody was going to believe your ass. The other one has 3% brain function after the attack. Somehow, they magically, it was magic. They used magic. They casted a spell. They magically convinced him to take a plea deal. He said, I was sick of court. The judge knows I didn't do it. They just railroaded me. I was the fall guy. Okay, but you pled guilty? You could have been the fall guy and not pled guilty, buddy. He said, Jake Haro was hopeful on Wednesday that enough money could be raised to free Rebecca. So y'all go donate to Rebecca. Let me stop. Innocent until proven guilty. He wants to raise 10% of $1 million. What is that? 10% of $1 million? 100,000? Is that what it is? Yeah. Rebecca is innocent. The media is killing her. She's a beautiful woman and she loves her children. How she got that black eye, Jake? That's what I want to know. How'd she get that? She's being held at the Robert Presley Detention Center in Riverside on Tuesday after the Haros appeared in court. Separated from one another, Jake said he encountered her after getting off of an elevator. And he said, I'm trying to shout to her, I love you. He don't really behave like he loves her. He wasn't even touching her in the interviews. He said the deputy shoved him to the ground. He launched me like I was a rag doll. And he re-injured his shoulder. The sheriff said on Wednesday they did not want to comment on that account. This investigation will be ongoing for quite some time. Lieutenant Deidre Vickers said in an email, we are not going to comment on statements made by the suspect. Not a suspect. Oops. You notice that she didn't say a suspect, one of the suspects. She said the suspect. That means there's just one. So what are y'all still doing with Rebecca? I mean, I'm not saying it's dispositive, but it's interesting since they like to analyze referring to was alive, is alive. We're not going to comment on statements made by the suspect, nor provide any details about the investigation. Haro also talked about social media posts from the public. They always do. They just want to kill their own babies in private, everybody. Please. Innocent until proven guilty. He also talked about social media posts from the public that have been highly critical of the Haros. God is with us. Yes, I agree. God is with y'all. And you're going to get what you have coming. And it's going to come from God. Amen. There it is. Inshallah, God is with us. And he's going to take care of whoever's guilty for this. Now, is it for sure Jake Haro? I don't know because I wasn't there. Jake speaks on it, quote, the allegations are horrendous. So, of course, people are going to be riled up. Now, interestingly, missing from this reporting is anything about confessing. But also, interestingly, missing from this reporting is him denying it. Only thing he really denied when you really look at the words real close, is the long-term abuse. He denied long-term abuse. He said that's not true. But everything else he wouldn't speak on. Well, guess what? We had the good occasion for this guy who did the interview. He went and made a little short. He did a video interview himself, and I have the video right here. Let me pull it up.
Jake Haro did.
Okay. This is the guy who did that interview. So let's watch what he has to say. Why isn't it playing, girl?
Did not say in our interview that he did not kill Emmanuel.
Okay.
Jake Haro did not say in our interview that he did not kill Emmanuel. He said he couldn't talk about the case because of advice from his attorney.
Very interesting. He didn't deny unaliving. What he denied was that there was long-term abuse. So it appears that Jake Haro, 2 hours into the stream, it appears that Jake Haro's defense is starting to take form. It is starting to take shape. I think right now, Jake Haro's defense relies on him not being a child abuser. It was an accident. And he knew he had these prior charges, and he just freaking knew it was going to be blamed on him. Oh, it's echoing? Is it still echoing? I'm echoing. Okay, hold on. What about now? Am I echoing now? Somebody tell me. I hate waiting in the 20-second void between my actual live and then and then when y'all finally get it. Okay, I want to play it a different way. The video is playing twice. Okay. I'm I was trying something new. I thought y'all would be able to hear it better, but I guess I just messed it up. Okay, hold on. I have it up here. I can play it this other way, how I've been playing the other, how I've been playing the other clips. So just give me a second. I'm pulling it up here. Okay. So since it was echoing, I will just start it over. I'll just start it over from the beginning. The gist is that this is the guy who did the interview with Jake. He's the one who wrote the article, the journalist who wrote the article and did the interview that we just read. So let's hear him.
Jake Haro did not say in our interview that he did not kill Emmanuel.
He didn't deny it.
He said he couldn't talk about the case because of advice from his attorney. So today, Wednesday, I visited with Jake Haro and
he visited him.
Talked to him about a wide range of things.
Zoom.
Most notably, I wanted to get his side of the story as to what happened with Emmanuel. And he would not go into any real detail about it. He did say his wife, Rebecca, is innocent.
They're both maintaining her innocence.
They care for Emmanuel, and to support that, he said that they'd been trying to get Emmanuel his vaccinations this year and had been frustrated because they hadn't been able to get them. Now, Mike Hester and the DA did say that he thought that Emmanuel is dead and that he's a victim of long-term child abuse. But Jake said that's not true at all. So that's
the one thing he denied.
He didn't say short-term, but he just said, no, it's not true that Emmanuel is a victim of ongoing abuse.
So I think that is right now. I mean, things can change, but right now I think that's Jake Haro's theory of the case. All right. Breaking news. You heard it here first. My theory first. I think his defense is going to be he was railroaded in that first trial. That would explain why the prosecutors are getting out in front of it and saying that judge should not have done that. He shouldn't have even done that. The man should have went to jail for even longer. Jake Haro is going to be like, the judge knows I didn't do it. That's why I got 1 day. They forced me to do that guilty thing. And, you know, I listen, the baby's skull was fractured. Let's just start there. All right. That's going to be more than you dropped her on the basin of the sink basin. Okay. You're going to have to drop somebody from like a building for that to happen. Okay. So I don't know about all that, but he did deny one thing, and that was that it was long-term child abuse. Well, that is really what makes it murder, because right now they don't have a body, and you start to see, and it does take 2.5 hours to really explore even enough of these angles to explain why those cops were acting like that yesterday, including the DA, who I consider to be on that side. They don't really have a murder case if Jake is able to prove that it was an accident. Do you hear what I'm saying? They need a body, and they need to be able to tell on the body something was broken, something, and it's going to be so deteriorated at this point. So if Jake is able to prove, for example, that he didn't do it on purpose, he didn't have reason to know that his actions were going to result in the loss of a life, then he walks. Because murder is not the same as homicide, just general, or manslaughter. Okay. Murder requires mens rea of wanting to do it, knowing you were going to do it, not a wanting to do it, but wanting to do the overt act, which resulted in the death. So did you want to pick up the pew-pew and pew-pew into a crowded theater? If you wanted to do that, then you wanted to murder someone. That's how the law works. So they're not charging him with simple neglect. They're not charging him with not simple, but I mean, you know, simpler than murder, endangerment of a child. They're going to the top. So there's always a risk. This happened with the Diddy trial. They went for the RICO and they weren't able to get it. So he basically walks. He has to serve a little time for basically hiring, you know, S workers. But Luigi Mangione, same thing. They want to make it a death penalty case. They want to go for terrorism instead of just simple, like, premeditated murder. Well, that requires more, and he might be able to wiggle out on a technicality. So here, I think that's what's stressing these sheriffs and these DAs out so much. Now, does it give them a justification to act crazy and come out the side of their mouth at us? Hell no. They need to relax with that. Take your beta blocker. But if he's arguing it was an accident, I rolled over on him, and wherever he put him, the trash can, the Badlands, wherever, and he was railroaded in the first case and he didn't have proper counsel and he was all that, that's his defense theory. Now, that don't mean it's going to work. Smash that thumbs up button. Thank you so much, Christy. Thank you, Andrew Ford, for the $5 super chat. Why is Rebecca still in jail? If Jake's statement is truth. Oh, listen, I don't even know if Jake made the statement. Thank you for the $5. I don't even know if Jake said that, much less if it's true. You know, there's 2 layers there. Also, I just noticed inmate information system, they added more under Jake's profile. Oh, have they? Let me go check it out. Let me go check that out. I think I have it here. Let me. Yeah, let me pull this up. I have it up now. And thanks so much for that $5 super chat. Okay, so here's the page. Here's the charges. Okay, so wait. Oh, they added them all together, y'all. So they have the murmur with malice. They have false reporting of a crime. And then this one's Rebecca, murmur with malice, and willful harming of a child, felony. This might be the previous one. Felon possessing a firearm. Yeah, they have all his stuff. This is from all his different cases, I think, added up. Thank you, Detroit313, for the $1.99 super chat. Appreciate you, BJ. Thank you so much. Thank you, TGF, for the $5 Canadian. I really enjoyed your free class on how the police should do a press conference. 10 out of 10. I had like, I was going to do like a whole, I got my prop. Wait. Hold on. My camera's like, I think backwards. Okay, there y'all go. Put your hands where I could see them. Police. Put your hands where I could see them. Thank you for the $5 super chats. Thanks so much, Rhiannon, for the $5. Let's not forget Jake should have been in jail for having weapons. That's what I'm trying to say too, girl. This one I'm saying right here, this one right here, 2023, that should have been it. I'm not even going to get into the 2018 of it all. Who cares about the 2018 of it all? Can we talk about the 2023? I mean, I shouldn't say who cares. I'm saying it wouldn't matter even. We wouldn't be having to go back that far because 2018 is when that happened. So he could have been out of jail right now making more kids. But what if last year when he had the felon in possession, they would have said, nope, you got to go in for your 6 years. I don't know. Thank you for $5. Thank you, Danica, for being a member for 6 months. Thanks for helping me get through my work day. It's my 14th wedding anniversary today. Happy anniversary. I appreciate you making my workday go faster. Oh my God, love you, mean it. Happy anniversary. Y'all better go eat some good food or do something fun. Christine's like, whoa, I just got here and I'm being told to put my hands up. This is what. Look, Anna, yeah, there they go. Well, yep, we got everybody else in here is getting arrested for resisting, except Anna and Fanny, because they put their hands up. Mata, her too. Everybody else is going to jail. Oh, Tony. Sorry, excuse me, Tony. You're not going to jail either. I was gonna do a press conference. Like I was gonna be like, this is what he should have did. Like I keep putting it on the wrong way. This is what he should have done. And like get in the police character and be like, and give me my $3,333. But then I got tired and I don't feel like it. Okay, let me see. So there's definitely one final clip I did want to show y'all because it's Brian Enton, like tripling down, I should say.
Hey guys, he's
pissed. Oh, girl, They had him in his car. Y'all, it is hard to go to these court cases and stuff, and this man is jet setting. They have him everywhere all of the time, okay? That, I will tell you, is the truth. I've seen it. He's always, which one am I trying to put? That one. He's always at these trials. He's always in a hotel room. Like whenever you see this man going on Banfield, he's very often in a hotel room. The man is going. They got the man. He can't even eat his 2 pieces and a biscuit in peace wherever he is. We're having to log on here and address the haters. Okay, Brian Enton addressing the haters. The county is afraid of a lawsuit on behalf of the surviving. Ah, ha, ha, ha. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, Franny. Okay, let's hear what Brian addresses the haters, addressing the rumors.
Minneapolis covering the awful church shooting, but I wanted to get on here for a second and just clear something up. So a lot of you have been messaging or putting in the comments about my story involving what Jake Haro said to informants within the jail. As
a lot of you have been commenting. It was us.
Operation, which I explained in my latest video. And the district attorney today at the press conference said there was no confession. So I just want you guys to know that I am standing by my recording. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch my latest YouTube video. I talked to my sources again. And if you guys know, I mean, I know I have a lot of new followers on YouTube, but if you guys...
He's hitting them with those who've been here know. And I will say, usually like with newscasters and like even YouTubers and stuff, like I can tell the guy has earned credibility and trust with y'all, because y'all of the level of like, no, I like him. Like, no, he's not this type. Like y'all are like standing on business for him. Thank you, basically a detective, for the $5 super chat. I'm just a listener, was cooking, and I put my hands up. Thank you so much. Basically a detective. Y'all, we have to add a little bit of he from time to time. Thank you, Corey, the frugal flower, for being a member for 2 months. I just adore both your in-depth coverage as well as your humor. Love you, mean it. Thank you so much for that. No echo here. Okay, good. He was 10 toes, 10, 11 and a half. His individual channel is new. Okay. His individual channel is new. So maybe they are trying to let him loose to have some of his own opinions out here or something. Let's see what else he says.
You guys who...
Hold on. Just glitching. Oh my Lord. Did I...
me know how seriously I take this job and how seriously I take reporting factual information. And if I ever did make a mistake, I would immediately own up to it. But I am standing by my reporting. And I realized that the district attorney said that there was no confession from Jake Haro, baby Emmanuel's dad. But I don't know what his definition legally of a confession is. That may be different, you know. But I'm standing by everything that I reported in my video from yesterday about the Perkins operation. About
he made this morning.
About that happening in the jail. And about what Jake Haro said. And I have quadruple confirmed with my sources.
He keeps confirming.
Yeah, I just wanted to address that. And I just wanted to tell, for those of my new followers, like, I'm not just some guy who's just going to like put out information without being very, very careful about it. And if I ever do make a mistake, and yes, of course, I've made mistakes before, I will immediately tell everyone I made a mistake. But I do everything I can to make sure that what I'm reporting is accurate and is double and triple and quadruple checked, and I do not go with sources that I don't trust. And so I'm standing by.
I'm gonna tell y'all one thing about me over here. I ain't putting my reputation out for no source. Come on the channel and say it yourself, no problem. But all this secret source bull stuff, because now it's going to be my word against the freaking police and the source won't come out and be the source. Why you want me to put my reputation out there for that? Nope. No. I don't like doing sources. However, that being said, I'm so happy that there's some people who do. I'm just not like news journalist. Okay. This is opinion over here. He stands by it.
Know that. All right, see you guys.
And you know what? I wish more people would do this. I wish more people would do this. I wish more outlets would do this. He said, I stand by my reporting. I understand and I recognize and I realize that they saying what I said isn't true. Maybe confess was the wrong word. But told, fine. Told. That did happen. And I trust my sources. I've quadruple checked. The boys are fighting, the men are fighting. Okay. The cops and the district attorney on this most watched, true crime case of right now, of this week. I mean, there's a lot of people on the Koberger thing. The cops and the DA are blaming keyboard warriors and social media for misinformation. Meanwhile, it's this guy from the mainstream media, where it came from. Everybody's catching strays. And they're saying that the misinformation is false and not true. Well, here comes the mainstream media right back around. No, if y'all know me, y'all know I ain't lying. I'll stand by it. Yep. And the girls are eating ice cream and watching them with our American Girl dolls and our limited 2 pajamas or whatever, girl, because can we get a break out here? Shout out to the men that are doing work. Brian Enton. And to call him a keyboard warrior makes them look like fools. And this is where the two meet, Amanda said. To be fair, the keyboard warriors, they did know. They did pretty much figure it out immediately. What is this? I live in San Bernardino, and that Waterman Discount Mall, they're picky on what they buy from others. That coin stuff she was selling, they don't just give little prices. It's either value or not. Interesting. So yeah, y'all, I mean, at the end of the day, like I said in the thumbnail, who's lying? Is anybody lying? Could it be a semantics issue? Could it be the police and the cops and the law enforcement powers that be lying, or, intentionally not telling us the truth because it would jeopardize their investigation? Perhaps that could be what's going on. If that is what's going on, I would just prefer they leave us out of it. And if they're going to blame somebody for something, at least blame the people that put it out. You know what I mean? That's all I really had for this one. I'll see y'all tomorrow or maybe Monday or something. I don't really know. Got some stuff in the works though. All I really had for this one. In the meantime, facts ain't defamation. Love you, mean it. Okay, bye. Oh. Neither are opinions. Love you, mean it. Okay, bye.